the back there, yes.
Yesterday, Joe Cirillo gave me Stats.net. Yesterday, I kind of had a privilege to see you and a bunch of your peers working together, and you just swapped out voices that quickly. How is that? Just practice? Is that like experience? How can you do that?
Yeah, it's kind of a misspent youth, really. I was always enamored of television shows and movies and cartoons when I was a kid. And I guess I just kind of walked around the house trying to figure out how to do these voices. And some of the earlier ones were, cartoons. And then, I remember, like Rookie and Bully Goo. And so I would just walk around doing that. And my parents were like, our Billy's weird. And they didn't know what to think of it. And it was just kind of a trick and a party thing. And my friends would have me drive through, like McDonald's and stuff and order in weird voices. And it just became a thing. And I just kind of added to the repertoire, and people say, hey, it sounds really like John Wayne or whoever. And I just kind of got known for it, but I never thought I'd be able to do this as a living. And after many years of, figuring out what to do, it kind of led me into this career, really.
Awesome. Questions? Right there.
Yeah. Everything guys from Craig Nation. How'd you get the role as Goofy?
Okay, at the time, in 1986, I was living in Dallas, Texas, and I had an agent there. I was doing commercials, and I was also doing some stand-up comedy around the area, and an impression kind of routine. This agent said, well, with all the voices you do, why don't you go to Hollywood and give it a shot? I got an apartment in Hollywood, was able to get an agent, and after just about 4 months, my agent said, do you do any of the Disney characters? And I said, well, most people can kind of do a Mickey if you can get into that, gosh, oh boy, kind of that falsetto thing. Donald's a tough one, that's about all I can do. But Horace Goofy was right in the wheelhouse. And I really didn't do that in my comedy career or as an impression. So it was really, I studied it over one weekend, sent in an audition, and out of about 1,000 or so people that tried out for it, they liked mine. And I've been doing it ever since January of '87.
Awesome. Tell us more about your work that you've done.
Oh gosh, for just for Disney.
Quite the resume here, I see.
Yeah, I always have to check out my IMDb because I never remember all the stuff that I did. I didn't know till yesterday. I was talking to Carrie, who was here just a little while ago, and she did a game, Tales of Symphonia, and that sounded familiar to me, and I found out I was General Door in that game, and I'd totally forgotten about it. I said, why does that sound familiar? And I looked up on what other people had written about me. Oh, I did that. Okay. I guess I'm getting old. But no, I've been very fortunate over the years to have done some of the iconic characters. In the movie Space Jam, I did Foghorn, Sylvester, Yosemite Sam. Of course, the Warner Brothers characters were ones I did as a kid, and I grew up on those. And was fortunate enough to meet Mel Blanc shortly before he passed away when we did Roger Rabbit. And which I think is the last movie that he did, and that was like meeting God, in this in animation. Oh, Mel Blanc, and it was like, oh, brother, he could still do it. And he smoked like a chimney. And as I understand, at the sessions for Roger Rabbit, he would have an oxygen tank and he smoked. So we're lucky he didn't blow up.
You gotta have balance,
But he could do the voices dead on till the very end. And so the Warner Brothers characters, I did a lot of background voices as well. Most recently, the upcoming show Minions, which will be out for DreamWorks. But Toy Story 2, Bugs Life, Monsters Inc., Beauty and the Beast, Hunchback of Notre Dame, The Lorax, Shrek, all sorts of. In the Loop group, I add various little bits of business in the background. So I've done a lot of stuff over the years.
Hi, Neil from WILI and FM in Connecticut. You did mention Mel Blanc. Did you happen to know any of the other voice actors who did those cartoons?
Oh yeah. I studied with Dawes Butler when I first came to LA, and for those of you who don't know, he was the great voice artist behind Yogi Bear, Huckleberry Hound, all the Hanna-Barbera cartoons. And a friend of mine said, hey, you ought to take classes from Dawes Butler. And I'm saying, the Dawes Butler? And yeah, and I call him up, and he was this short little guy, hardly over 5 feet tall, and had this great talent. He kind of sounded like Captain Crunch, who he voiced. His regular voice was kind of like that. And I'd say, well, come on over, Bill. It's only $10, and if you don't have it, don't worry about it. And I'd go over to his house in Beverly Hills. In the back, he had a little studio where he would teach us about the points of voice acting. And he was the first one that really emphasized that it is about the acting and not the voice as much. It's voice acting, not voice acting. People concentrate so much on doing the voice, they don't put life into the character, and they don't give the character life through the acting, and that's the most important part. And that's where the 5 years I did doing stand-up was probably the best training I ever got, because you learn from the audience what's funny and how to say a line and how to tell a joke and that sort of thing.
Yes, you.
Well, you said it's about the acting. Do you ever find it's difficult to get in character for like a giant horny rooster or a or something like that? Those don't seem like real like standard characters that an actor jumps into. So.
If you're stepping into a well-known role already, like picking up one of Mel's voices or taking over the role of Goofy, that's already set in stone pretty much on what the character's like, and so you already know his personality. If you create a new character, I'm on a series now with Maurice LaMarche and a lot of other great actors called the 7D. It's on, as in Seven Dwarves on Disney XD, which is a great show, and I play Doc. And he's the smart one, he's got the glasses, and he's kind of the inventor, so you have to come up with a voice. What does this little guy sound like? He's little, so I kind of pitched him up a little bit. And I figured he's articulate because he's very scientific, very precise, so you over-articulate the voice. And, well, then he's kind of a little absent-minded, and so he's, here and there and all over the place. And so you kind of add those little things to the voice. And, of course, since we don't have our body to act with, you have to do all of the idiosyncrasies and all of the other stuff that this character is just through your voice, and that's the challenge of it, really.
Awesome. Yes, you back.
CCSU TV. Having done so many roles, are there any that you wish you would have gotten or wish you could play?
All the time. I'm auditioning all the time, and everyone, in specific, I just, gosh, there's so many characters out there. I'd like to do more, video games. I haven't done as much anime as I would like to, because I like the genre. I've done some of the Miyazaki movies, Porco Rosso, and I can't remember if I'm in Spirited Away or not. I'll have to check my IMDb. And I did a series, Astro Boy, but they're a lot of fun, because in those series, you get to do hundreds of different voices. You can be, okay, Bill, you're the monster robot, you're the talking tree, you're whatever it is. And that's the fun of playing. You get to come up with, what would a talking tree sound like? He didn't like any low, does he sound like he's from New York? The canvas is blank, you can kind of come up with whatever you want. And those are fun.
Question right there. Yeah, black shirt, sorry.
Sean Patrick Fowler, Hartford Current. I was in a conversation at one point with Jim Cummings, and he'd mentioned that he preferred classic animation to working on video games. He felt that was a much more organic process. Now, you've worked in both. Do you have a preference? Like, he was describing that, like for video games, they'd say, okay, we need you to do 5 different types of scream for the character.
Oh, yeah.
Things like that.
They always say that to the last day, too, because, and I remember one director on some video game where it was like the army guys versus the zombies. And the direction was, okay, the zombies ripped your arm off and he's beating you with it. So what do you sound like? Ah! But if you do about an hour of screaming, they'll give like impacts, short, medium, long, ooh, ah, ah. So they build a library of all of these sound effects. After about an hour of that stuff, you're talking like the Godfather, you know. You go, hi, honey, I work today, you know. It's tough on the throat. Those are tough.
Given, yes.
Video games also, since there's so many different ways that the game can go, it's not linear. There's like a notebook of this thick, you know, of lines that you do, thousands of lines perhaps, and they don't necessarily refer to each one before it, so you don't get a sense of the flow of the story. I do the Kingdom Hearts games for Disney.
I was going to ask you about that.
And
over here.
you get, yeah, and that is an interesting one because it was done originally in Japan. So I'm hearing the Japanese actor who's portraying Goofy, who had studied me to learn how to do Goofy in Japan. And it's very odd to my ear because in the headphones I'm hearing, and then I have to say, or it's the heartless, you know. And so I only see a little clip of the video game and try and fit the English words into, you know, what the Japanese actor did, and then they adjust it later on to make sure it fits perfectly. That's definitely a challenge, and that's the only project that I've done where I'm actually translating from one language into another. In the very early days, I had to do some cartoons in German, which was very difficult. But
Do you speak German?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
I had to loop 6 cartoons into German as Goofy, and because they couldn't find anybody in Germany that could do Goofy. Because Goofy's a guttural voice. It's whoosh, way in the back of the throat. And up in the front of the voice for the German, you know, like Ludwig van Beek or something like that. And they speak in the front here. They couldn't find anybody in Germany that could do Goofy. So they came to me, Bill, you're going to have to do that. I don't speak German. So they got me a professor of German from USC. And I don't think she had ever seen a cartoon in her life. She was like, why is Goofy falling out of the airplane? He is not killed. Don't worry about it. We did like a 12-hour session to loop these 2 pictures in German, syllable at a time. And I asked like a month later, I said, whatever happened to that German project? And they said, well, it was pretty good, except you had an Austrian accent. They didn't check the professor was from Austria, and so her accent didn't play in Berlin or wherever. And so they had to finally find someone who could do a passable Goofy in German, and I'm glad they got someone else.
Awesome. Questions? You in the back.
Just really getting McSess.net. Since you brought up Kingdom Hearts, I have to ask. Have you been asked to come in for Kingdom Hearts 3 yet? They've announced the game is in development. Have you done your session? Yeah,
I've actually been recording off and on, and like a day here, a day there over the last couple of years, really. It's been in production a long time. I think I'm all done with recording, and now they're just finalizing it, and they should bring it out. You know, when they bring it out, they don't call me.
Everyone is looking forward to this.
Everyone.
I think it's going to be a great game.
Questions? Right there.
Oh, hi. Did you mention Minions?
Yes.
And it's just the current movie?
Yes, the one that's like out next week or...
You play one of the Minions?
No, I don't. Actually, I think the director played all of the Minions. He did those himself. And we did some background voices, a lot of crowd scenes, and maybe, let's say there was a monster coming through. Get out of the way! Ah, run! You know, just little background incidental. ADR is a lot of fun because you get into a big studio at Disney or DreamWorks or wherever, you know, like a 30-foot movie screen, and you're watching the movie, and you say, oh, laser pointer, that little guy over there is talking to that character, add something, and you get to come up, oh, what do you want to do for lunch? Oh, let's go. Just little things. Like Beauty and the Beast, you know, all the villagers attacking the castle. Well, we do that. So you do it over and over and add, so it sounds like hundreds of people where it's only like 10 people. A lot of times you get to do very unusual things when you're doing ADR, even sound effects sometimes. In the movie Beauty and the Beast, where Gaston is singing in the bar and everything, he throws 3 eggs up in the air and he goes, look, look, look. That's me, I'm eggs, so got eggs on my resume. And you never know what you're going to do. That's the beauty of it and the fun of it. It's a lot of times it's very spontaneous.
Questions?
Disney's really like family friendly, wholesome, and stuff like that. As a result of being primarily working for them, have you ever had to turn down work in something that was either like too adult or too gruesome or anything like that?
Generally, they don't. My agent doesn't ask me, and I try and keep, because I do Goofy and it is a family friendly, I kind of shy away from that kind of stuff. I have in the past, but it's not my choice, really.
They've never specifically told you to not.
No. We are independent contractors, and I'm not a Disney employee. All of us actors are, just like your plumber, they got a job. We come in and we fix something, we go home. So I'm certainly free to do that, but I choose not to generally, as a rule.
You in the back, Richard.
Has there ever been any time where, because you've done Goofy for so long, that you felt a director or whoever was giving the action that it wasn't matched up with what Goofy would normally do, and you kind of...
Disney has a department called Disney Character Voices that oversees scripts and kind of looks all of that stuff, because in the beginning that would happen. A toy manufacturer would have Mickey saying something that Mickey wouldn't say, and that puts it on the actor to say, Mickey wouldn't say it this way, or Goofy wouldn't say it this way. He'd probably say it like this. Now they have all the scripts go through Disney, and they think, okay, this would be better said by Goofy in this way. So that's all ironed out before I even get the script. So I don't have to do that very much anymore.
I'm Mia from West Riverside on Instagram, and what's your favorite project to work on? I mean, what was your favorite project?
Wow, there's so many, but I think probably my all-time favorite was a Goofy movie, which this is its 20th anniversary. It came out in April of 1995.
Yeah, love that movie.
That was such a fun movie on several levels. First of all, my son was 5 years old when it came out. And so it confused him. He didn't know if he was Max or Goofy's son or my son, or was Goofy, Max's brother. He didn't really know. We went to an early screening of a Goofy movie, and my son, when we came out, my son was crying, and I said, well, Austin, what's the matter, buddy? And he said, well, when Goofy went over the waterfall, I thought that was you, And so I said, that was a very bonding thing for me and Austin, and over the years, many people have written to me how it was like their and their dad's movie together, that it was a big bonding picture with them, and that really, that's nice. Also, it's really great to see your voice in front of a live audience in a movie theater, where you can see your work and see people appreciate it. When we do our work, we're just in a little booth with a microphone and a script generally, and we never get to see the reaction that people get from it, whether they like it or don't like it. Whereas if you see a final product in a movie theater with an audience, that's a special treat, and that's great when I get a chance to do that.
Questions? None? Okay. I had a question myself.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to work on some more animes. Right?
Sure.
Yeah. Are there any animes in particular that you like or enjoy?
Oh gosh, one of my good friends is Sean Schimmel, who plays Goku, and some of his fighting, that'd be fun to do. There's a lot of tongue-in-cheek humor in that, and I've always gravitated toward comedy, but it's action as well, and that would be a lot of fun. So that world and universe. I did, like I say, the series Astro Boy, so I got to do a lot of characters on that. And it was just great fun to take these characters, and they're pretty outlandish, they're a little bigger than life, and those are the really fun ones to play, because they're very broad, and you can just go nuts in the vocal booth with those characters. You don't have to hold back at all, you can just take them to the limit.
That's awesome.
Robert Takash from Critic Nation. Is there any specific voice actors that you would like to work with in the future?
I would like to work, even on the series The 7D, with, Maurice LaMarche, who's here this weekend. I do the 7D with him, but we don't record together. We go in, and I'll do my lines, he'll do his lines, and Billy West will do his lines, and all of the other cast members come in separately, and then they marry them together in post-production in the editing room. I really miss doing ensemble work, because first of all, it's fun to talk with your buds and just have fun back and forth. You also get an energy from working with another actor that you don't when you're doing it solo, because I have to imagine what Mickey or Grumpy or whoever, how they say the line and respond in that. But if he actually does it, it's much easier to respond, you know, with the right energy level and all of that. Yeah, and also it's just more fun to play. I think they separate us because we crack up too much and, you know, tell jokes and stuff like that. And it's like, guys, we're on the clock. Can we work a little? So that might be one of the reasons that they don't let us do that anymore. But yeah, I would love to work because God, there's so many great voiceover actors that, and I know them personally, but I don't get to work with them in the studio, and I'd love to do more ensemble things than I do.
Do you get to do a lot of ensemble things currently, or it's all more like solo?
It's almost all solo. I did a couple of episodes of Garfield recently, and they do that ensemble. Mark Evanier does that ensemble, and we're working with Lorraine Newman and Frank Welker, who is, you know, fun. I love Frank so much. I got to work with him on a series, Goof Troop, that we did, and he was in Goof Troop, and that was one of the dream casts that we had back there, because it was Jim Cummings and Rob Paulson, Nancy Cartwright, April Winchell, and then Frank, and Frank just sits over there, and you know, he started doing cricket noises, and we started looking around for things, running around the floor and everything. So he's great to work with, and I miss that kind of ensemble stuff.
Any more questions? Right there.
Sean Patrick Fowler, Hartford Current. You mentioned Billy West. Billy West, in a conversation I saw him in, he mentioned that sometimes he wasn't even sure what his real voice was anymore, because he's always doing these different voices for different aspects of his life. One, do you find yourself doing that? Do you find different voices for different moods in your everyday life? And beyond that, you mentioned that a lot of times voice actors work separate. What is it like a night on the town with the other voice actors?
Oh, yeah, it can get wacky. You know, as the drinks come, you know, people start kind of getting into character, and you'll order and well, give me another shot, Pilgrim. Oh, okay. Well, I want one too. And so people just start going off on different voices and stuff. And yeah, they can get pretty wacky and wild. And it is true. You kind of start. I get in ruts from time to time. I'll get on a voice and I just start practicing it, and just kind of like one of those little, you know, it's a small word. You just can't get it out of your head. I remember my wife was very upset with me because I was doing the voice Sling Blade from the movie when so I'd run around the house there, how you doing there, honey, give me a kiss. She's like, quit that, please. You know, you get these things in your head, and you just start walking around and doing this for a week or so, and it just kind of sticks for a while. And yeah, it can take over your life if you're not careful.
Questions? Right there.
Chris Bates from Realm Beyond Sight. Just you personally, when you take on roles, is there a difference on how you feel when you step into a brand new character as opposed to when you took over an iconic role such as Goofy in '86?
Yeah, because as I say, you kind of put on Goofy's shoes. You want to feel like him. It's directed. You know the character. You want to know how the character thinks, how he feels, and you adopt that. With a new character, you just have to go on the direction that the director gives you. And what kind of guy is this? Is he kind of melancholy? Is he a bright, happy guy? Is he, you know, what's his background? The more precise you can be about a character and what he's like, the better you can do the voice. So the more you can define, like Mel Blanc, always a lot of his characters had little speech impediments, like, oh brother, you know, fuckatash, you know, oh brother. You know, there were little things in his voice that he would add. Those are technical things, but the emotional, like you take a Disney character like Eeyore, who's like depressed and way down. I'm just about ready to kill himself, you know. So it's just, you know, It's the internal life, and that's the fun thing to come up with. On the second season of the 7D, we're adding more things to Doc. He's not just the intelligent one and the leader of the dwarves. He's like, we find out he's a speed demon. He likes to drive fast. He's got little things that, you know, kind of come out. He's a little bit wackier than we thought, maybe a little ADD. And so we're adding little layers. When I did a Goofy movie, we had to add layers to Goofy until that time. And True, he was a father, but in a Goofy movie, he was kind of a caring father. He was worried about his son. And those are things, you know, he really never had to worry before about anything. He was a happy-go-lucky, he was just a happy-go-lucky kind of guy. We had to make him a real father in that, so we're layering him. We're adding more emotions to him, and that's where the real joy is of discovering what these characters can do and where you can take them and still remain true to the character. And that's the fun part of it.
You're in the back of your shirt.
With Goofy being such an iconic role, have you ever kind of played a joke on someone where the first time you meet them, they're in the Goofy voice?
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, I get asked all the time, could you call my mom or something? Or occasionally, even more important to me is occasionally we'll call with like famous phone friends or Make-A-Wish Foundation to children that want to talk to Goofy. And that's where the magic really comes alive, because they, you know, it's real, it's on the phone and Goofy's talking to them. And we've gotten some really great letters later on. Relate one story, Wayne Allwine, who portrayed Mickey Mouse for so many years, and in real life was married to Russi Taylor, who does Minnie Mouse. They actually met while they were doing the voice, got both divorced out of bad marriages, fell in love and married each other. It's a great story. They and I were talking to a little girl who had leukemia. And her mother said that she was really rejecting treatment. It hurt, it didn't feel good, and she was kind of, I'm done with it. And Mickey got on and said, gosh, you know, when Pluto takes his medicine, he feels a lot better. And just from saying that, about a few months later, we got a letter from the mother who'd said that the child went into remission because her whole attitude changed from just talking to Mickey and was willing to go through the pain and all of that of the chemotherapy, because Mickey told her that will make Pluto better, and it worked. And those kind of things like hit you like, wow, there's some power in these characters, and so you got to kind of respect those, and that they're not just, you know, little drawings that are animated up on. They're characters. They're as real as any character in any movie, and you got to be aware of that too. And it's kind of a neat thing when you can help people just doing a voice of a dog or whatever.
Questions? Okay, questions for myself. So as a powerhouse voice actor, what would be some advice you could give to someone aspiring to be a voice actor?
Get rich parents. That always helps.
I'm done. Off the list. Can't do it.
No, the beginning, it could be very tough because, as you can see, it's kind of like just coming, you know, I want to do this for a living and joining, you know, I want to play basketball and joining the Lakers. I mean, you're up against all of these great actors and you are auditioning against them all the time. So your game has to be up to that level. I would always recommend any kind of stage acting, live acting, because you get so much from an audience that kind of tells you how to say a line. You learn how to say a line or tell a joke. And when the audience is not there, you have to know how to do that in the booth. So it's good to learn in front of it. You always need a place to be really bad. You know, when I did stand-up, the first few months were horrible because I wasn't funny and they were, you suck, and all this kind of, but you learn if you keep at it. You tape your shows, you listen, you learn what works and doesn't, you cut out what doesn't, you eventually learn how to write and to interpret copy. And so it's not the voice, it is the acting that's the important part. So acting lessons would probably be the first thing I'd say. Get as much of them as you can if you want to get into this business, because they're just characters that have wacky voices. They aren't, you're not doing voices, you're doing characters that have wacky voices.
Thank you so much. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have. Thank you so much for coming in.
Of course,
Please take before Bill.